but I think the Redskins win.
You know what? I actually go the opposite direction on this one. I believe that the Eagles are going to win, which is going to muddy a lot of waters because that division race over there has become a very difficult situation, and it's going to leave the Giants with the possibility of, if they could beat the Vikings, with the possibility of getting back into the playoff contention situation inside of the NFC least. This situation that's going on, the X's and O's wise, is that the Philadelphia Eagles are not good at stopping the pass, and their defense tends to leak like really bad. However, they are amazing at creating points on defense, and Kirk Cousins has this uncanny ability of throwing interceptions at the wrong time. And with it over the last 2 years, Kirk Cousins, when he throws interceptions, is the number one most likely quarterback when he throws an interception to be returned for a pick six. Guess who number two is? Peyton Manning. But Kirk Cousins is number one over the last 2 years during an interception to be returned for a pick six. And that, with this Eagles defense, tells me that this is a great play for the Eagles defense, and I believe that the Eagles defense will probably do enough to put another 10 points on the board in one way or another through turnovers against the Redskins in this game, and that Bradford, as long as he doesn't try to do too much, will end up pulling off a victory on the score of 27-17. Going into the next stage, we got the Colts traveling to Miami to play a terrible, terrible Dolphin team. Go ahead, Javi.
I just gotta. That hassle. There comes a point in every season where there's a team spirit is broken. The Dolphins have sucked for a long time. Everyone knows that. They haven't done anything in a very, very long time. Actually, the best thing that the Dolphins usually do in a year is maybe get a token late season win on the Patriots, and where their fan base goes all nuts and they can celebrate winning like 3 games. But the Colts are not used to that. They are used to being front and center, one of the powerhouse teams in the entire NFL. Since Andrew Luck's come on, they made the playoffs, they made the divisional round, and then they made the AFC Championship. This was supposed to be the year that Andrew Luck ascended, became who everybody thinks he is that first ballot Hall of Famer, and lead his team to possibly a Super Bowl appearance, if not a win. Everybody was picking this team, and now they've totally just laid down, and I think they're going to die. I think it's going to be a terrifically horrific death, and I think the Dolphins I'm going to pick the Dolphins to win this game. They've got more weapons, they're a more complete team. I think they will win. Let's give them 21, the Colts 14.
Okay. See, and these are a tale of two quarterbacks who came out in the draft at the same time and were both drafted as first-round draft choices. Andrew Luck, and then there was Robert Griffin III, and then there was good old Ryan Tannehill. Don't forget Russell Wilson was also in that same draft. Now we have a matchup of these two quarterbacks. Well, we don't have one quarterback. One is actually out. And it is a bad situation because I really did believe that Andrew Luck was going to be an absolute, complete, and total knockout MVP candidate early in the preseason. However, that's not the way
Frank Gore.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like he had all the weapons around him that you could ever ask for. However, the offense fell flat, but the Dolphins don't seem to really be interested in even playing football. And even though the Colts are down to just backups and kind of hodgepodge situation all the way across the offense, I believe that the Colts do pull this one off. I believe it's going to be a low-scoring game when it could have been a high-scoring game by looking at everything in the early preseason, and it's going to be a low-scoring game on a thing from like 19-14. Indianapolis with the win. The Bucks and the Bears. Coach Lovie Smith gets an opportunity to go ahead and face his old team. How does this one shake down?
You know what? I mean, I love Tampa Bay. I love this team. I think Jameis Winston is going to be an amazing quarterback. I am not one of his haters out there. They really let me down last week. And this team does have that tendency in those big moments where they can kind of take a step really forward. Because if they would have went 7-8, if they would have been 7-7, actually, they could have actually started to try to make a case to be a potential playoff team. Really,
playoffs?
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
they could have. Well, yeah, I mean, there's the old Mora comment, but
yeah.
I mean, they can't. They're not really there yet. They lost last week, and they lost the week before that, and those were two teams that I really thought they could have beaten easily. And so, with the Chicago Bears team, that I think is a lot better than people give them credit for, I'm going to pick the Chicago Bears to win this one. I think it's going to be about 26-23.
The Chicago Bears go into Tampa Bay to win 26-23, and John Fox is a hell of a coach, and he tends to make people play hard at the hardest and most difficult situations. Going against Lovie Smith, you know what? I'm going to agree with you. Except for I just don't think it's going to be that high scoring. I'm going to shave a few of these points off in both directions, but I do think that the Bears win in good fashion in Tampa, and it's going to depress Lovie Smith just a little bit because you know he wants this. You know he desires this win this time. But it's going to be 23-20 Chicago Bears over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And if you ask me which team, though, would have, in the next 5 years, if you ask me which team, one of these teams would be going to be better off, I would say it's going to be Tampa because I really like Jameis Winston. I think he's going to be right out. And Cutler, he is what he is. He's never going to be great, and people need to stop apologizing for him.
You know, I think I honestly have to go the other way on that. That's a good point, though, but I'm not intentionally disagreeing with you, and I'm really not. But I believe that the Chicago Bears with Fox are just going to be a stellar team. Everywhere he goes, he rebuilds teams from literally utter ashes into massive powerhouses. He did it with Carolina. He did it with Denver. And I just don't see it not happening with Chicago. He'll build a strong defense, and he'll find a serviceable quarterback somewhere in the draft or somewhere in free agency that he will groom and turn into yet another star. At least that's what I see in my crystal ball. You know, people wonder what the crystal ball holds for Johnny Manziel, as he's going to be traveling to Kansas City, another huge loud stadium, 2 weeks in a row on the road. He's going to have people screaming at highest decibels available to play the Chiefs in Arrowhead. This doesn't look like a good situation for Johnny Manziel at all. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, you know, this is probably going to be, these games are going to be the games when you really see Johnny Manziel start to become who you think he's going to become. This is going to be his best shot at these games. No pressure situations in which, against a top 10 defense, nobody wants to give these guys any chance. They didn't give him a chance last week either, for obvious reasons. But, you know, he didn't do well, but really he didn't do all that bad either. I wasn't throwing anything at the TV watching him play the quarterback position. But, again, they're going to lose. That's a given. But in this kind of situation, why can't he do his best? Because no one's expecting anything. So as long as he literally survives until the end of the game, I think in Kansas City they can be beatable. They're not going to be beating this game, but their offense is really off and on. And those stretch of games where they were scoring 30 points, 40 points, and all that, that's all over. I mean, last week they really didn't. I mean, they did well last week, but they started out very, very slow against a Baltimore team that they really should have just pile drive through. So I'm actually going to give them 21 points for the Chiefs, and I think let's give him a token touchdown. He'll have 7.
Okay. I pretty much agree with you that it's going to be a blowout, one-sided for the Chiefs, and I'm going 36-10, as I believe that the game is going to hinge again, much like the whole Eagles situation. Those Chiefs have a really good time of getting the turnovers and turning those turnovers into scores. And the Browns are going to be relying on Manziel, who has a bit of a gunslinger mentality, and he's going to try to force the ball into a situation he probably shouldn't. And good old Peters is going to be, hey, here's the ball in my hands. I wonder how far I could take it for a touchdown. He's been doing it all year, so why not do it now, too, against a guy who's prone to taking those kinds of risks and chances. I think it'll end up biting Johnny Manziel, and this will be one of those games where Johnny Manziel begins to implode, and we see why he may lack the maturity necessary to be an NFL quarterback at this stage of his life. Another person who's at a stage of their life where they have completely and totally determined who they are Tom Brady and Ryan Fitzpatrick, as the Patriots travel to New York to take on the Jets. Now, the Jets are in a must-win situation. They have to win this to stay into playoff contention, because losing this game is utter disaster for them, because they're in a neck-and-neck race for that last wild card spot with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are playing the lowly Ravens. Okay, so this is definitely an uphill battle for the Jets, but I believe that they have a chance against the New England Patriots. The Patriots, who would be foolish at this point with watching the Bengals begin to crumble and the Bengals begin to stumble, going into play somebody like the Broncos this week. The smart thing for the Patriots to do would be to not exhaust all efforts and possibly personnel who are banged up, nicked up, injured, and allow for some of the healing process to begin, because playing the Jets, a team that you dominate and own in the playoffs, is a whole lot better than playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. This is a chance of letting them win today so you could beat them tomorrow. And I believe that the Patriots are going to pull off a win. The Jets are going to pull off a win against the Patriots 26-20. What do you think?
That's actually a really good argument. I mean, I'm going to pick the Patriots to win. I always pick them to win usually. There's not too many teams that can beat them. But it's not really in their interest to win, because really you got the Bengals and Broncos going against each other this week also. So one of those teams is going to absolutely lose. And that further denigrates their position in the AFC. And the Patriots they're going to almost certainly get a first-round bye either this week or next week, it's looking like, by the way the games are kind of piled up. And so the Patriots don't really have anything to play for. I mean, I think the Patriots' defense is very good. They're very underrated. They're the sixth-ranked defense in the league. The Jets are the fifth. And I think that Fitzpatrick is just going to have another bummer game. He's just not consistent enough for me to pick against the Patriots. But, I mean, they play this team tough. The Jets play them all the time tough, and maybe it would be smart for Bill Belichick and the Patriots to start resting some guys. But I'll give the Patriots a win here. I'll give them 26 to the Jets 19.
Wow, that's pretty close. We just kind of flipped who won. Okay, cool. The Cowboys traveled to Buffalo, a very cold and dank Buffalo, to take on the Bills. Now, this game early on in preseason, I've circled as a possible matchup of determining some playoff potential. Now, it's really just a who gives a damn type of game. And I don't see either of these teams playing exceptionally well. However, Sammy Watkins has come on very strong as of late. And I believe that Tyrod Taylor and Sammy Watkins will do what they need to do to be able to pull off a win against the Cowboys, who are just basically shoving it in and deciding, maybe a good first-round draft choice might actually be better here than winning a game against the lowly Bills in Buffalo at this point in the season. I believe that the Bills pull off a victory 34-10.
Oh, I like that. No, I completely agree. I think, now we're circling this game because we want to see what the draft implications are. And no, these teams are they're just as underperforming as you can possibly get. I would say probably these are two of the most underperforming teams